thought as the game wore on, we got more comfortable with the communication necessary to compete against Phillip Rivers in that environment. And I'm being real specific there because competing against Phillip Rivers has its challenges, but particularly in a pandemic environment in quiet stadiums where he gets an opportunity to communicate, he gets an opportunity to hear you communicate, change the pace of the game and so forth. The intellectual aspect of the schematics was really challenging.
Mike, Smith-Schuster's on record as saying the Colts were calling out your plays in the first half, and Ben kind of made it up as he went along in the second. Did either of those things occur?
We were calling out their plays too. Phillip Rivers was calling out our adjustments. I think it's one of the things that kind of goes on in 2020 during a global pandemic when you're playing in crickets, in eerily quiet stadiums. I know other teams have talked about that some. I think it's just one of the adjustable things that we all globally have to deal with in the 2020 environment because of the level of communication and the amount of communication that's heard between units prior to a snap in 2020's environment.
Kevin Dorofield appreciates the year-end review of Simmsism. Great stuff from you guys all year long. It's been a whirlwind in the Leader House. Different spelling for Leader House. I kind of like that spelling of Leader House. All right, we have a Leader House for today's trivia question to determine the first pick in the draft of the wild card matchups we'd most like to see. The Titans, Colts, Ravens, Dolphins, and Browns are all 10-5, and one of them will definitely miss the playoffs. What was the last 11-5 team? Because one of these teams could miss at 11-5. What was the last 11-5 team, Chris, to miss the playoffs?
Well, this is like, what color is blue? It's blue.
That's what I was saying during the break.
Are you kidding
Thanks,
me?
Pete.
I mean, Pete, what is Pete? Like, that's the dumbest question ever. Of course, it's the 2008 New England Patriots. I mean, what color is red, Pete? Red.
They're the only 11-5 team to miss the playoffs. Now, if you'd have asked the last 10-6 team, they're not the only 11-5 team to miss the playoffs. All right, well, Chris already got the question right. If there are more, there's not more than one more. 10-6. Who's the last 10-6 team to miss the playoffs? That's a good question. I'd have to look that up, and I just wrote something about it not that long ago. All right, Chris, go ahead. You get the first pick. Matchup in the wild card round you most want to see.
Well, man, this is a tough one because there's so many damn good possibilities. I think the one that I would love to see is Saints versus Bucks. I think that's probably my number one choice. Now, I don't know exactly how that would have to work out. I think the Saints would probably have to lose this weekend and, Seattle win to where they're the 3 seed. And then Tampa would have to lose and the Rams would have to win, right? That would make it a 3-6 matchup. I tried to do this as somewhat realistic to where it could maybe happen, even though I don't really see that. But wild card weekend, awesome. Here we go to start the playoffs. And if we could have one of those games be Brady versus Breeze and the Bucks versus the Saints and two teams that I look at and go, they could go to the Super Bowl and win it, that would be pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the Buccaneers could reverse the outcome from the first two games, though. I'm as intrigued, if not more intrigued, by another division rivalry where there was a sweep during the regular season, where I do believe there's a good chance that the team that was swept could and would win round 3, and that's Steelers-Ravens. That's the one I want to see. That's the one the Steelers should not want to see in the wild card round. But I think if the Steelers and Ravens get together again, number one, it'll be a great game. And number two, I think the Ravens will win, Chris.
Yeah, I hear you there too. That would be a lot of fun to watch. And it's rare where, one team loses twice and you feel like that team that lost is better in that matchup. I mean, it really is rare. And I will say, too, I think as a professional athlete, when you've lost to a team twice, you are at a disadvantage. It is a little bit of like, wait, we've lost twice. I don't know if we can beat this team. It's one thing when you've lost once, you can just go back and go, hey, if we fix this and this, we win the game. You lose twice to a team, that third time you just go, man, maybe we're just not meant to beat them or we curse. There is a psychological element there that I find intriguing. And I'm going to go back to my next pick is going to be one that we talked about earlier in the show. I don't want to see it because I don't want these two teams, one of them to be canceled out, but Bills versus Ravens wild card weekend would be just unreal. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen, that high-flying Bills offense, and Stephon Diggs and, Cole Beasley and all of those guys. We'll see how Cole Beasley's knee is, all that. I know he's got the injury there, but all of them versus that Ravens defense. And, the Ravens offense, I think, is feeling itself right now. Lamar's playing well. They've found a way to infuse wide receivers into the game just enough to keep you off all their other stuff. So that would be a fun one for me, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And again, the Steelers and Bills should want nothing to do with the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. I'm going to go with, frankly, what would have been my first pick if you hadn't gotten that incredibly difficult trivia question correct. My first pick, and I knew I could sandbag you on this because I knew you weren't going to take the Bucs in 2 straight games, and I tweeted this yesterday. The matchup that most intrigues me is Buccaneers at Giants. We've talked about this recently. The history between Tom Brady and the New York Giants, a pair of Super Bowls that the Giants won. And I know Eli Manning's not walking through that door. It doesn't matter because the two teams played each other on a Monday night. Such a close game, a game that the Giants could have, should have won. Remember the pass interference call in the end zone that really should have been called and the Giants should have had a chance? Was that on the 2-point try at the end of the game? That's what it was, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Would have been 25-25 and they would have gone to overtime. Joe Judge and all the Patriots coaches who are now with the Giants who know Tom Brady so well, that's the one I want more than any other. I apologize I didn't make it my first pick, but I knew I could wait to round 2 and still get it. I probably could have waited to round 3.
Yeah.
But Giants hosting the Bucs is the one I really want to see.
It's cool, but you could have waited to round 6 and it's still been there, okay? I mean, but yeah, there is some cool storylines there. I don't know. Anything with the NFC East, I'm like, bleh, I don't give a damn. I don't.
But the last 2 times we've had
sub
500 teams host a wild card game, they've won.
I know. I get that. I don't see that to be the circumstance right now with the Bucs and the Giants the way they're playing. But there is a lot of cool storylines there. I will say that. I feel like, man, we're picking a lot of the same teams over and over here. I wanted to go with Tampa Bay and Seattle. That was another one that jumped out to me that I'd love to see. I'd love to see Tom Brady have to go up to play the Seattle Seahawks, the team that he's beaten in the Super Bowl and had issues with in the regular season and all those things, and Russell Wilson and Seattle. And wait, this defense has looked really good the last 5 or 6 weeks in Seattle. Are they real? Can they stop a Bucs team like that? That to me would be another one where I'd go, man, that would be an amazing way to start Wild Card Weekend. Russell Wilson versus Tom Brady, all of that. 2 teams with a little bit of attitude. We know the Bucs play attitude. Of course, the Seahawks do. That's probably the last one for me that's really intriguing.
I've got Cardinals Seahawks on my list because we saw that great game earlier this year. And then the Thursday night game, the rematch was still pretty good when Kyler Murray hurt his shoulder. But I'm going to lay off of that one since you just went Seahawks. I am going to wrap this up with the last one I thought of as I was brainstorming the list. And I thought of it earlier this year as a potential NFC Championship rematch 2 years later.
Yeah.
But put the Rams back in the Superdome.
Right.
Rams-Saints, the return after that ridiculous non-call of defensive pass interference. Now, I think the Saints would handle them easily, especially if Jared Goff can't play. But just put those teams back on the field again in a single elimination setting. I would love to see that.
I'm with you there. That would be good. A lot of fun to watch, definitely. That would be personal, and there would be certainly something more than just playoffs on the line to where, there's a bad taste still in the Saints' mouth.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.